Hi guys. Okay, it is Friday the 19th of September 2025 and it is 14:31, so the afternoon here in Toowoomba, Queensland, Australia. And this is an update for Gabriel's children, and they're going back to school for term 3. And I want to thank all of you. I want to read something. I've found, as I explained, what I've typed. I had to have typed it myself years ago from the Concordance, and I'd forgotten all about it until recently. So from the Concordance, generosity. When you give, consider well the deed. Is it really you who gives? Is it not truer to say it is life giving to life? A transfer from one guardian of life to another. What are you but the instrument, the witness, and the agent of the transmission? You are the debtor of life, for has it not given you all you have? If there be among men one who has...
I know this is an ad, but it's an ad for an app that blocks ads. It blocks ads for apps, websites, and video streaming platforms. You get less than...
I had to pause to shut down the very annoying woman in the ad that keeps coming on my phone whenever I have the Concordance open. All right, let's go back to you are the debtor of life, for it has not given you, rather the question is, for has it not given you all you have? If there be among men one who has received nothing from life, then let him be the one who refuses to give. The good giver gives, and thereafter does not remember the gift. The receiver, if he be worthy, never forgets it. The heart of the generous man is like the bountiful waters which rise and strew the face of the land with fruits, herbage, and flowers. It bedecks life with beauty and gladdens the hearts of men. The generous man carries an everlasting spring of benevolence within his heart, from which flows waters of goodness to nourish the gardens of kindness and consideration. He lends his arm to the needy. He sees with compassion the plight of the poor and aged, and brings them things to lighten the burden of their days. The needy, the poor, and the aged. I remember one of our last outings, Yah and I together. We were at the Nickenbar markets, and it was August the 21st, 2022. And Yah, we were sitting under the tent where they serve coffee, and there was a young girl who was playing the saxophone. She was doing a marvellous job. And I remember leaving Yah there. He was happy to sit and listen to the saxophone and observe. And I did my thing. I was wandering around, just looking again at the stalls, etc. And when I got back to Yah, he remarked about the aged couple at the table beside us. The wife and her husband in a wheelchair, and he hardly able to speak, and she having to help him drink through the straw. And he just looked at me and he said, "That is love in motion." The love between an aged couple. Love in motion, I don't forget it. In my own life, I've been going down to the Salty, the Squid. Actually, it was called the Squid when Yara and I were there as one of the last acts in our book of life together. And there's an old man there. He's actually born in 1944, so the same age as Yara. And he's still physically fit, but his mind, he's forgetting things. He's still able to drive, he's physically fit. And he talks about his life. It's as if he's going back over his life, which is full of his own adventures, the story of his life and his adventure. And while I was on my 7-week road trip, Yah had told me that his wife, who was completely disabled herself through an operation and through 5 years of agony and suffering in and out of hospital and in a lot of pain, her name was Celia. His name is Ken, and her name was Celia. And it was a surprise to me because I didn't know his history in the times that we had talked, or rather he talked. But on the drive, I think it was even while I was away, as I was thinking about Ken and, the people that he talks to down at the Squid. And a lot of people have complained about him because he can talk and talk and talk and talk. However, it's loneliness. Yah had told me that his wife had died. So my first trip back to the Squid, Ken was there. And I said, "Hi, Ken," and he thought I'd actually left town. I'd been away so long, so it was a surprise for me too. And I asked, "How is Celia?" And the first thing is that she passed. She actually passed a few days after I had left Tugum, which was the 14th of April, 414, to go on this road trip. Now, I've since got used to Ken, and I realised that he's just a lonely man who gets up first thing in the morning and he goes down to the Squid as soon as it opens. And he's up for chatting with anybody who will give him the time of day. Sometimes he meets people there. He used to have a friend around town and they would meet most mornings there, etc. And I began to notice that in my own, if I was going down there, I would go later in the day. But Ken was coming back to have a second coffee, which was his habit. And I realised that as much as Ken would annoy even the people who work down there and some of the other people who were there to spend their own time together to be talking, that it was his loneliness and it was his way. And so I've got used to listening to Ken, putting aside the book that I might be reading, as I did this morning. I only had 10 pages to go when Ken, I invited him to sit down, and I put the book aside and just leaned in to listen very closely to what it is he was telling me, because a lot of the time he will get lost on track, and so I have to listen to bring him back to what it is he was talking about before where was I? So to listen intently. Do I remember the details of? No, not all of it. I remember the gist, but he kind of sent me off in a history lesson when he talked about the 1931 earthquake that occurred in Napier, where he was living. Not at that time, it was years before he was actually born, but it did send me on a bit of a dive into history. So he is remembering his life, and this morning I thought, his memory is becoming worse, and his daughters are coming up to spend time with him next week. They want him to go through all of his gear, and I thought they are preparing for his passing so that when he does, he's already sorted out his belongings and you know, what should be sorted out now. That was my thought as I was talking about his family coming up to spend time next week. But he's a happy-go-lucky, cheerful man, and I can't help but think of Yah and his observing of this aged couple, as we do around Hervey Bay, a lot of aged couples. Love in motion, he would call it. Now, going back to Gabriel's children, last week when I uploaded, we had a look at Gabriel and his friend Sula and the hospitalization of Sula's dad. And Gabriel told me that Sula's dad passed away last Friday, not long after our upload, and he was buried on the Saturday. So understanding that this is life, a circle of life, and I expressed again my sadness that he had passed, and however now relieved of the suffering, Sula's dad. And all week I have been playing, almost 2 weeks now, playing on the piano. I've actually recorded it. I will upload it. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. Many of you are familiar with the song, he ain't heavy, he's my brother. All week, and I just, going back to the piano, I downloaded the music and I've been playing with it. And I think I'm going to use the photograph of Gabriel with his friend / brother. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. You remember last week's message from Gabriel, how he lamented that he hadn't been there for the last 2 or 3 months, so busy with his life now that he's got his own studying and working at the markets, not to mention looking after the chickens for the chicken farm, getting it going and productive to feed the children, etc., and not be so dependent upon we who have taken it upon ourselves to look after as best we can these children, orphans, children. So let's take a look now at the GoFundMe site, because I'm just so happy, pleased. Since our banding together, and so I take from the day that I donated myself, you have contributed altogether with my own contribution, €2,254. So I am so grateful to all of you, as is Gabriel and Daniel and the children. And as you learn, the children's teacher. Let's read the update, where it's Gabriel and Daniel. Daniel writes this, the message is from Gabriel. Hello family, a few days ago we have been trying to fundraise for our scholastics, and through your effort and golden hearts we were able to fundraise for the scholastics program to maximum. We do really appreciate it, and thank you all for turning up for this. To break this down, we were able to buy the books, pens and pencils, and also we bought some school shoes for our kids that had worn out shoes. And this was on the 14th. On the 15th, we went to the schools and had to clear up the school fees, tuition fees. It's now an honor to say thank you all, and may the heavenly power give you all what you need in your lives. Then, on the visitation at the school, the headmistress continues to thank you all, and she claimed she will pray for you in her prayers each time because of supporting these kids to be able to attain education. In a video, we were in the headmistress's office. She was trying to ask us about the kids that don't stay at the kids' home. And she also encouraged us to talk to their parents on advising the parents to encourage the kids attend school regularly. We had a big conversation about the success of the kids, and we are all glad. Greetings, love, and God bless, Gabriel. So we'll just take a look at the photos. We'll go back. Now this is the receipt, 4,400,000 shillings. These are all of the fees for all of the children. There's the receipt made out to Gabriel Onder. This is why I remain committed to Gabriel and the children, and I tell others who come to the door that I know where everything is going because of Gabriel's heart. He is a real man looking after the orphans, and Daniel, and anybody who is a good friend, like a brother to Daniel and Gabriel rather, then I trust them. So back we go, the shoes. Trying them on. And how happy they look to be. So the headmistress, the teacher, holding us in her prayers, making it possible for these children to be educated. And so there's no greater gift in these times than the education of these children. Some of them will become teachers themselves, mothers, fathers, teachers, perhaps carpenters, doctors, educated in the truth about what is true medicine, the nature of true medicine. But so we were able to give 254. Oh, this woman is still here. How to get rid of those so annoying ads? All right, let's see if I can get it happening again.
I think that's a good thing, so tab below. I'm sick of ads. I know this is an ad, but it's an ad for an app that blocks ads. It blocks ads.
All right, forget the app. She's still there. So in Greek, 2254 is us. Teacher said she was praying for us. However, in Hebrew, 2054 is to bind tightly together, much like a rope and to pledge. So all of us together to make it possible for these children to be educated in order for Gabriel to fulfill the pledge that he has made with his life. And remembering regarding generosity, we are the transfer agent. I know in Yah's life, that's why I take everything to Yah, and I ask him, because I am but the agent, what is it that you want me to do or to contribute? So again, thank you all, and I will come back with more, because I said that I would read more from the Cauldron about this day. Tell me, good Master, when shall the end be? But let's just keep this video of thank you to all of us.